Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, or like the 10 people that got this YouTube notification, welcome to what is probably the dumbest legend run I have ever had. Sometimes when I get stuck in the Go Battle League and I keep losing to the same teams over and over again, sometimes I just decide, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to create a team that is designed to completely destroy the top meta threats. What we have right here is the ultimate RPS anti-meta team. Should you run this in your sets? Absolutely not! But boy, were these some fun battles. I cannot wait to get into it, so I won't. You all are in for a special treat today because I'm not shoutcasting just 1 or 2 sets. We've got 3 sets of battles to get through here, and I'm excited to jump in, so let's see what happens. First up, we got Morpeko into Feraligatr. This is a fantastic lead, and if they are core broken, they will be staying in, but this one isn't. They're going to be aggressively switching into their Primate, trying to put a lot of fast move pressure on our Morpeko. However, we have a very solid answer in Oranguru. A Shadow Close Combat non-boosted is not going to KO, so I don't have to shield this. They're going to be getting to a close combat here. It's going to do a lot of damage, but Oranguru, bulky as heck, can hang on. We're going to leave with a Brutal Swing, and they bring in a Clodsire! Looking for a farm down, but these boosted Confusions after the Trailblaze here are going to start ripping through them. Unfortunately, we're only able to get 1 more before we go down, but that's okay. We have Gourgeist here that can easily take a move. They aggressively switch back in for Alligator, but we're able to reach the Seed Bomb first. This will be putting a lot of pressure on the opponent, but they decide not to shield, so we're going to switch back into Morpeko and see if we can get the farm down. Shielding up a Hydro Cannon, that would easily be taking us out. And let's see, Thundershocks going through the Feraligatr. Are they able to take it out? No, they live on 1 HP, forcing me to throw my energy. I need to save the shield for the Clodsire in the back, so we need to force their shield, or we need to force the KO here. We do get the KO. Clodsire immediately throwing a move. I'm going to shield this up because I will be reaching 2 more moves of my own. They go for the Stone Edge. We're going to be getting to the Aura Wheel, but baiting with the Psychic Fangs. They are very likely to shield this. A Dark-type Aura Wheel will do so much damage, and we get this shield. Thankfully, we're going to be able to outpace them before they get their next move, and they top left, realizing that we were going to get another Psychic Fangs, and that would put them into Seed Bomb range. Alright, hopping into the next battle here, we've got Morpeko into a Clodsire. This is not a great lead. Clodsire is going to be resisting the electric type damage, forcing us to go for Psychic Fangs, and while Psychic Fangs is super effective, it's non-stab, and it's a very weak charge move. Clodsire easily going to be able to absorb that. We're going to be farming up, trying to reach his Psychic Fangs. Oh, we go for a catch! Hoping we can get the Earthquake caught onto the Grass type here. Unfortunately, it's just going to be a Sludge Bomb bait. Opponent responds with a Shadow Feraligatr, but because it's Shadow, this Seed Bomb is going to do so much damage if they don't shield. So we force a shield from the opponent, and if they don't throw, I'm going to reach another Seed Bomb. Opponent throws the Hydro Cannon, and I'm going to let it go down. Gourgeist has done its job. We've aligned the Morpeko on the Feraligatr, and now we can start building up energy. Going to be winning the CMP tie against the Feraligatr. This Aura Wheel easily going to be able to knock them out, and they're just going to let it go down. However, we are now the Dark type Morpeko, or I guess our Aura Wheel is now Dark type. So that's going to be threatening massive neutral damage into the Clodsire here. It might not KO, but it's going to put them so deep into the red, they're probably going to want to shield anyway. Let's see what happens here. The opponent does give up the shield, and we are now electric type Aura Wheels, so that's going to be resisted. We can't go for that. However, these Poison Stings are really not doing a lot of damage, so we can shield this up and get to 2 more moves. 1 Psychic Fangs, probably not going to pick up the knockout here, despite our attack being boosted. Yep, Clodsire is just way too bulky here. I decide to bank a move and bring in the Oranguru, and it's a Jellicent in the back. That is what you absolutely love to see. We're going to need 2 moves to take this out anyway, so I opt to go for the cheaper Brutal Swing. Hindsight, maybe should have gone for the Trailblaze, but I think it's going to be fine anyway, because 2 Surfs do not take us out, and we have a Psychic Fangs loaded for that Clodsire. I'm unable to reach a Trailblaze. I didn't think a Brutal Swing would KO at that range, so I try to go for a Trailblaze. Opponent getting to the Surf. I decide, you know what, I'm just going to throw the move, take up the knockout here before they can switch out potentially. We're going to force the Clodsire's energy, and yeah, they know it's over. Once they use the energy to get rid of the Oranguru, we would have been able to take him out with the Psychic Fang, so GG's. We got a lot of battles to get through today, so I'm going to be running them at 2 times speed, which makes the commentary very difficult, but I will be trying my best. Morpeko into Toucannon, an absolutely wild lead to see here, but they're going to be switching into an Annihilape, and we have the perfect response, and oh no, we are hard countering the opponent, and they have no choice but to whip out the dreadful tactic. This is the secret technique that all Legend players use to gatekeep experts, and it's called the lag switch. Using very precise tapping motions, my opponent can... My opponent can turn my game into a PowerPoint presentation, but it's okay. We're still able to fight back, farm down, and reach a Brutal Swing. This is going to be forcing the shield from the Toucannon, and we're going to be able to get to another one if they don't throw their energy here. We have perfect alignment so far, completely hard countering our opponent as this team was designed to do. They're going to bring in a Mudboy, and we have the Grass-type Gourgeist here to respond. Even if they have Stone Edge, it's not going to be enough, as it will only inflict neutral damage, and a Seed Bomb will easily be taking them out. Opponent realizing their situation is desperate here, they're bringing out the lag switch one more time. They gotta keep frame perfect tapping on their phone here to disrupt the connection, but it's not enough. We're able to reach a Seed Bomb and they're forced to top left. GG's and thanks for playing. Alright, this time we got another tough lead. Morpeko into his Stunfisk here. I don't really know what to do in the situation. I'm thinking they might just be really weak to Gourgeist, so I decided to just bring it in, even though it is my hardest answer. In hindsight, probably a mistake here, but let's see how it plays out. Togekiss going for the Side Shock. I'm actually going to shield this because here's a little bit of Gourgeist tech for you. If you shield it, they can't peck you into a range where Side Shock will KO here. They're gonna get there, but I actually survived this because my Gourgeist is pretty good at these. We're gonna live on like 2 HP there, getting to a Shadow Ball, and if they don't shield this, I'm gonna be taking Switch advantage, which they definitely don't want, so we're getting this second shield here. However, they're gonna be able to reach an Aura Sphere before my Aura Wheel, but that's okay. We have the cheaper Psychic things we can go for here, and even though this is non-stab, it's probably gonna pick up the knockout. Yeah, Togekiss is not very bulky, and now we're in the dark form, meaning we can launch a neutral Aura Wheel into this Stunfisk. Unfortunately, they're going to get there first, so we're going to have to burn our final shield, but I think the trade-off will be well worth it. Getting to the Aura Wheel here, or over-farming just a little bit, but this is going to hit like a truck. Just kidding, Stunfisk is extremely bulky, and they're able to take that no problem. Here I'm going to switch out, and it's a disaster in the back for it, and at this point, I don't think we can win. Even if we take out the Furret here, the Sucker Punches are going to get our health so low that the Stunfisk will be able to easily clean up, and with not enough health remaining on the Morpeko, I think a Mud Bomb is going to take us out as well. So we're able to reach the Brutal Swing, and I think this might actually pick up the knockout since we are boosted. But like I said, it's just not enough. Our health is too low. They can either farm us down or throw a move. I tried to switch and get through the Psychic Fangs. It wasn't going to KO anyway. And that is a good game to the opponent. The RPS team has been hard countered, but sometimes that's just how these battles go, you know? You're running an RPS team, you can't really complain if you get RPS'd. So maybe we can play around that a bit differently next time and see if we can pull out a win. Hopping into the next game, we got another great lead. Let's see what they decide to do. Opponent is actually staying in here, which is key. That means they're core broken by Morpeko. And what do people who are core broken by Morpeko love to do? They love to catch on 5. Always remember that. If you can avoid the catch... Wait. Sorry. Don't run this team. I don't know why I'm talking like I'm advising anyone how to run this. Do not run this team. This is how I'm playing it. I always wait for the catch on 5 because if they get that catch, it's devastating. However, if they don't get the catch, you pretty much always win the game because they are almost always double weak to Morpeko and back. Here I go for a Seed Bomb undercharge. This opponent, again, another master of the lag switch technique. How am I running into so many high-level players today? I don't get it. They're able to farm us down with the power of the lag switch, forcing my switch clock to freeze up and not allow me to switch out. That's okay though, we're going to be able to get to a Psychic Fangs because of all that stored energy we have on our Morpeko. Because they failed that catch, we just have too much energy for them to deal with. Getting to another Psychic Fangs here. This should be picking up the knockout. And they're actually going to give up another shield. That is how you know it is something so weak in the back to Morpeko, and I'm calling a Jellicent. So I'm letting this go. I'm going to let Oranguru clean up, and it is the Jellicent. Some of these teams, this is the meta, guys. When you get hard countered this much, you can just have a read on what teams you're seeing, what you know is going to be in the back. And as you can tell, I don't really like Jellicent too much. So this team is just designed to shut it down. They take out the Morpeko, they think they're safe, only for the Oranguru to come in and completely shut them down. I am going to shield this up though. Surf would do a considerable amount of damage, and that Fearow is quite dry, so I think I can go for the farm down here. And that's just going to be game over. Marowak has a move, but a Mud Bomb is not going to be enough. Once again, opponent desperately trying to use their technique to their advantage here. Lag switching me completely, making me lose all my frames. But it doesn't matter, the confusion ends up going through, and that's all I needed. That's going to be the end of the first set. We're able to pick up a 4-1, which is absolutely crazy. I did not expect to do that well with a team as RPS heavy as this one is. But yeah, in case you guys are wondering, this is part of the reason why it's so hard for me to upload videos. As soon as I start recording, my phone just can't handle it and I get a bunch of lag. Alright, queuing up against a legend here in the 2800s, up against a Shadow Kanto Ninetales. This is a really cool pick. And here they're going to be outpacing us to the first Weather Ball. And I'm deciding, should I shield this? It's going to do a lot, but I can survive. I decide to let it go. Wow, that does a lot of damage. In hindsight, maybe should have shielded that up. So I'm going to be returning with the Psychic Fangs. This will allow them to, this will not allow them to farm down before I get to an Ore Wheel. I'm going to be threatening that shield. They realize they're not going to get the farm down and throw before I get there. I decide to return the shield. I want both shields down or switch advantage. Morpeko reaching the Ore Wheel. This should probably take the knockout if they don't shield. They are going to shield, and our Morpeko is going to be going down. They don't have a lot of energy, and Oranguru is relatively bulky. Look at these confusions. The defense from those Psychic Fangs coming in clutch here. They're not going to be able to get to 2 moves before I get to my Brutal Swing. I just want the Ninetales gone. I don't want to have to deal with it in the back. So I'm just going to take the knockout here and hope that Gourgeist can beat whatever's in back. They come in with a Licky, which isn't the greatest for us, but it isn't the worst either. A Body Slam is not going to knock us out, but it will probably put us into farm down range. Yeah, that's pretty close to farm down range. I'm just going to under tap here. I don't want them to get to another Body Slam before I throw my move. So we're going to throw the move, boost up our attack, try to get to another one. I think I'm not going to get there, so I switch out. They hold onto their energy and get to a Shadow Ball. Definitely going to be shielding this up. It's going to do a lot of damage, and they're probably going to go for a catch here. That's exactly what they do, but I need to throw a Seed Bomb there anyway, so it is what it is. They come in with a Poliwrath, super spicy pick. They're on Mud Shot, so they're definitely going to be running Icy Wind here. This is going to be doing super effective damage as well as debuffing our attack, but I think a Seed Bomb should still be able to pick up the knockout here, but that's not the only problem. I need to leave with energy here. That Licky is very close to a move, if not at the Shadow Ball. One more Incinerate going through, takes out the Poliwrath before they reach the move, and I decide to wait, go for the catch. I don't get the catch, but Oranguru hangs on and gets to the Brutal Swing. This will actually pick up the knockout in the Licky, and we take an incredible win there. The reason I switched out there is because I wanted to reset my debuff so that the Seed Bomb would actually knock out the Licky. I think if I threw the Seed Bomb there, it would have just been giving them a win condition, but who knows? Maybe I could have been throwing there. Anyway, we're going to be hopping into the next battle, another Legend. These sets are not going to be getting easier as we get closer to Legend ourselves. However, the leads do seem to be improving. Picking up a Furret, this is where we want to see it. Going for the Ore Wheel, it's going to be doing massive neutral damage if they decide to let it go. And they do let it go! That is crazy damage, and our Thundershocks are actually going to start putting in some work here. We might be able to get the farm down if they go for a Brick Break, which they do. Opponent realizes what we're doing and switches out into Tinkaton, but this is exactly where we want to see it. A Gigaton Hammer is going to hurt, but it's not going to KO, so I can let it go. Wow, that is a lot of neutral damage. We're able to reach the Shadow Ball, and this will also be putting pressure on them because of our super effective Incinerates. Not going to KO, but it's going to get them close. Going for the farm down, we're not able... to get it, but they also have to throw energy here, which isn't terrible for us. Opponent goes for the Gigaton Hammer. I don't know if a Bulldoze would have KO'd there or not, but that's okay. We can start getting energy on our Morpeko and see what's in back. It's a Shadow Zapdos. Opponent's running some crazy spice here, but this is not looking good for them. I can debuff them with the Psychic Fangs, and because they switched out aggressively, they are locked into this debuff. And look at these confusions! Oranguru gonna easily be able to survive a single move here from the Zapdos, so I can just let that go and go for a full farm down. I think one more confusion is going to do it. We can shield up this Drill Peck safely, get a full farm down, and leave with 2 Brutal Swings. It's not looking good for the opponent. They have no health left on this Furret. I decided to go for a farm down. Whoa, what am I doing? I absolutely threw there. Opponent, I think, had a move, but then chose not to throw it? I don't know. I guess we both threw that game. That was really weird. It's okay though. We can hop into the next one. Alright, Morpeko into Ludicolo. This is actually pretty good for Morpeko here. They switch into a Charjabug, and I'm going to stay in to throw a Psychic Fangs. Sometimes, this is a pretty bad habit of mine, sometimes I just stay in to throw a move to collect my thoughts on what I should do, and then it gives my opponent an advantage. But in this case, I don't think I'll get punished for it. Gourgeist here is a pretty hard counter to the Charjabug unless they're on Crunch. Thankfully, this one is not. They're going to be going for X-Scissor, and we can survive 2 X-Scissors pretty comfortably here and go for a full farm down. Opponent going to be going for X-Scissor number 2. We can survive that, although our HP is getting pretty low. Next Incinerate is going to be able to take them out. They're going to come back in with a Licky. Opponent looking to maximize their energy here, going for a rollout farm down. I'm just going to get rid of my energy and possibly switch out here. Let's see. No, I decided to stay in. Opponent actually decides to be the one to switch out here, getting an energy head start on the Ludicolo, and this is actually a heads up play from the opponent because with an energy head start here, the Ludicolo might actually be able to put up 2 shields here and flip this matchup. I'm going for the Aura Wheel, looking for the one-hit KO. Opponent puts up the shield, and I see exactly what they're doing. They are going for the 2 shield strategy, but I can stop it. If I go for a Psychic Fangs bait, then I can CMP tie them on the Aura Wheel. Let's see if my call is correct. Are they going for the 2 shield here to get rid of my Morpeko? They are! Opponent puts up the shield, the bait is successful, and now we're going to be able to get there on the CMP tie. Aura Wheel easily going to be taking out the Ludicolo. Now it's time to see what the opponent has in back. I have a boosted Morpeko, and let's see what it is. Licky comes in. I decided to stay in just to force them to throw energy here, and I'm hoping that my Oranguru can clean up this game. Opponent goes for the Body Slam that is going to be taking us out, and here we come with the Oranguru, throwing these confusions. Opponent sees the writing on the wall, and I am a complete bozo because I thought that they had another Pokemon in the back. I was talking that whole time like they had another Pokemon, but no, Licky was our last Pokemon, so that game was already over. Alright, next battle. Who we got? A fellow expert trying to push for Legend, and with a really cool pick, a Shadow Mightyena. This is actually very scary for me. Opponent switches into Wigglytuff, and once again, the lag switch comes in to ruin my day. Thankfully, I think we only lost a little bit there, maybe like 2 or 3 turns. However, it's going to put me in a bad spot here. This Wigglytuff is probably going to be able to outpace now because I was so slow on the switch. Going for the Trailblaze, boosting my attack back up to normal. But yeah, opponent's going to get to the move here, and this kind of forces my hand. I need switch advantage. I cannot have a Shadow Mightyena on my Gourgeist, and I'm going to be going for double Brutal Swing. I should be able to get to 2 here, forcing both shields from the opponent. However, the opponent makes a really heads-up play. They're reading that I'm weak to the Mightyena, so they decide to keep their shields and hope that their Mightyena can sweep. However, they switch into a Shadow Steelix, and this gives me a win condition. I can build up a ton of energy on Morpeko and then switch into the Gourgeist. I call the Psychic Fangs bait. That could have been a Crunch and it would have been devastating. However, the fact that they didn't go for Crunch there tells me that they're on Earthquake. And an Earthquake, after being debuffed, could actually threaten here, so I am going to respect it. I believe I do. I do, yeah, and it is the Earthquake. So good shield by me. However, opponent, once again, incredible game sense here, taking advantage of desync switch timers to force me to throw my energy to burn the switch timer. And here, they have a move, but I win CMP, but they have a shield, so I have to bait to get the shield first. Opponent calls the bait, meaning that they can now shield up the Aura Wheel and take out my Morpeko. I had to either bait or land an Aura Wheel there, considering they still had a shield up. Opponent perfectly read my play like a book. Incredible game sense and energy tracking on their part. If I had just built up to double Aura Sphere, I wouldn't have had to rely on a bait there, but that just came down to a 50-50 in the end, so well played to the opponent. Alright, hopping into the final battle of the second set here, picking up a neutral lead, assuming it's not on Charm, and it's not, it's on Powder Snow, so we're going to be CMP tying to the very first move. I'm calling that they're going to call a bait here, so I'm going straight for the nuke. I want the damage, and we get it! Opponent tries to call the bait, and Aura Sphere lands. Devastation rocks the opponent, as we can now completely farm them down after giving up a shield. Morpeko looking for more, getting to another Aura Wheel against this Annihilate. I decide to stay in because I have the Oranguru to hard punish this. I'll get my shield back, and I have alignment. Alright, there we go. Morpeko finally goes down. However, I decide to come in with the Gourgeist. Why? Oh yeah, that's right. I was reading that they had an answer to Gourgeist in the back, and they kinda did. I mean, Feraligatr is like... It really depends, right? But we're able to get the shield with the Seed Bomb, and now Oranguru can cleanly finish this game. All we have to do is get to a Trailblaze. However, they are at the back-to-back moves here, so I'm just going to overfarm, because they're probably going to CMP tie me here. Yep, not letting them waste my energy. We're going for the overfarm here, and I'm going to try to get to 2 moves. And here we're going to go for 1 in the Trailblaze. Could have done 1 more Confusion. However, that Annihilate is mostly dry, and we should be outpacing. 1 more Confusion. Oh, I actually already have the Brutal Swing, but it wouldn't have KO'd anyway. After that Confusion, this Trailblaze definitely KOs, and we're able to take the win. Looks like Past Ike's team reading is better than mine. Anyway, we're able to get a 4-1 on another set here, climbing up all the way to 2957, which puts us in range of Legend. Alright, it's time for the third and final set. Now that our Elo's getting close to Legend, the queue times are starting to hit a bit harder. Luckily, you guys don't have to sit through that because of the power of video editing. Trainer Ronald McDonald. Does he work at McDonald's? It doesn't matter because he's about to cook. Pangoro on lead. I don't have a solid answer to this outside of my Gourgeist. Even with the Gourgeist, Night Slashes are gonna hit pretty hard. Letting the first one go because of that boost percent. And they're just gonna be able to spam out another one. These Karate Chops plus Night Slash combo here is just putting in the work. I have to under tap now, otherwise they're gonna be outpacing before I can get both my Seed Bombs off. And it looks like they're going to be investing both shields here, which is not good for me considering my back 2 Pokemon. I have no choice. I have to go down shields as well. I need this Pangoro gone. And they are very close to another Night Slash. However, I have a feeling they're going to catch. And I wait for it. And they do try to catch, switching into Grumpig, but we're able to reach a Shadow Ball. I can't pivot back in my Morpeko here because it's just going to get destroyed by that Pangoro. So I opt to bring in Oranguru and get energy on it, because that Pangoro is looking pretty close to Trailblaze range, and I'm hoping that my Oranguru can survive a Night Slash. However, opponent doesn't bring in the Oranguru, they bring in their third, which is an Aegislash, and this gives me a chance. If I can overfarm on energy and properly predict when that Pangoro is going to come back in, there may be a chance in this game. I believe that Pangoro is 1 or 2 Karate Chops away from a move, so we have to play this very carefully. I'm going to hard switch back into Morpeko because an Aegislash move does not KO. Opponent switching out as I reach the Aura Wheel. I don't know if they're trying to catch it or just get to a move on Pangoro, but either way, we're able to take care of them, and that's going to seal this game because 1 move from Aegislash is not going to KO Morpeko. It's going to do a crap ton, but we are a Dark Electric type, meaning we resist the Shadow Ball, and the Psycho Cuts are even more resisted, allowing us to get to an Aura Wheel. However, perhaps I should have gone for Psychic Fangs. I think it would have been enough at this range. It doesn't matter though, they're not going to reach another move before I can take them out, so that's going to be a good game. The RPS squad continues to take victims as we climb to Legend. And disaster strikes a Fortress, but it's on Volt Switch! This gives us a chance. Bugbite Fortress is the main culprit, the main core breaker that this team hates to see. And I somehow did not encounter a single one in this Legend climb. And that is why this Legend climb is one of the stupidest Legend climbs I've ever had. Because Bugbite Fortress is probably one of the best Pokemon in the meta, and I did not encounter a single one in these 3 sets. We're able to get both shields with the Aura Wheels, and we're going to return fire with our own. Return fire with the shields. We're going to return the favor with our own shields, and they switch into a Malamar. However, Malamar and Morpeko pace exactly the same to their first move, and I am double boosted, so this is just going to take up the knockout after I win CMP. Down goes the Malamar. Now let's see what comes back in. If the Fortress comes back in, I'm going to be able to outpace, but I decided something even better. They are switch locked in here. They forced in their Malamar. So I can bank a move on Morpeko and then farm down my Gourgeist, and at that point there was just nothing they could do. Avoiding the Bug Bite Fortress was massive. If it had been Bug Bite, I would have just lost on the spot, which is one of the main reasons why I don't recommend this team. It's not balanced, it just happens to hard counter a lot of the teams that I was seeing. There's even less opponents to battle as we crawl our way towards Legend, as well as the leaderboards. At this time, the bottom of the leaderboards are around the low 3000s. Hopping into the next battle, we have a bit of a tricky lead here. However, we do have 2 answers in the back, and I'm not going to waste any time. Let's just get right into Oranguru here. They're going to stay in to throw a move. I highly doubt it's a Rage Fist. They're probably going to close combat and dip, and that's exactly what they do. I decided to preserve health on Oranguru because I'm calling that they don't really have a hard answer to this, and I'm correct as they bring in a Celio. Sorry if my commentary is lagging behind a little bit. These battles are running at 2 times speed, and I have been recording now for close to an hour, so I'm getting quite tired. Please bear with me though, I will keep trying my best. We're able to reach another Trailblaze. This will be taking out the Celio, and they decide to give up a shield. I think that my Oranguru has done its job now. I'm going to be saving my final shield and trying to get energy on Morpeko. Opponent brings back in the Primeape. However, they're not going to reach a close combat before I get to my Psychic thing, so we can force another shield from them. And then we can just bring in the Gourgeist after getting a few more Thundershocks to put into 1 Incinerate range. Because now, they're at 2 Rage Fists. However, that Incinerate went through and they are debuffed from the Psychic Fangs, so they're not going to get that second Rage Fist. And we're able to get the farm down. Celio has some energy, but Celio's moves are resisted into Gourgeist. It's only the Power Snow damage I have to worry about. The opponent reveals a Diggersby in the back, and this game, while it's not over, is looking quite favorable for us. We can shield up the Fire Punch here. It wouldn't KO, but it would do the most damage out of the charge moves remaining. So we're going to try to get to another C-Bomb. I wait for a catch. Opponent tries to go for the catch, and I decide that I just need to get rid of this Celio. So I go for the Psychic Fangs instead of getting greedy before they throw their move, and we're able to take the knockout. Now our Aura Wheel is Dark type, and we're able to reach it on the CMP tie. I don't know if the opponent overfarmed there or not, but this is going to do a lot of damage, almost KOing the Diggersby from half HP. And because it's a CMP, there's just nothing they can do. However, even if they farm down, I don't think a Fire Punch would KO my Gourgeist at its remaining health. And even if it did, we had the Seed Bomb banked, and it would have KO'd anyway. Things are looking good in this set, as so far we haven't lost a game yet. However, this is another tricky lead, but we will be winning CMP. I wish they were in Shadow Claw so we'd be resisting the fast moves. However, I overfarmed to 6 to make sure they don't catch and go for the Aura Wheel. I want the damage or the shield. We get the 1-hit KO! An opponent concedes on the spot. They decided to go all in, call the bait, and they got it completely wrong, giving them almost no chance in that game. Was that the fastest battle you've ever seen? I don't know, but it sure was the fastest one I've seen in a while. That was crazy. Heading straight into the next one, we've got another Legend trying to gatekeep us. Disaster strikes. However, we are going to learn our lesson from the last one. Let's build up some energy on the Morpeko and then bring in Oranguru. They can stay in to throw energy if they want, but it's not going to be doing a lot. Opponent makes the swap of a lifetime here. A normal Feraligatr. But any Feraligatr is not going to be an answer to Oranguru. However, I will say here, I am a little afraid of the crunch, so I am going to shield it up. It probably wouldn't KO, but I decided to preserve health on Oranguru. If this is their Oranguru response, I might as well invest shields into it. Opponent getting to another move. I'm deciding, should I shield this up? And yeah, they clearly don't have a response to it, so we have a double boosted Oranguru now, with no shields remaining on the field. And in comes a Shadow Talonflame, Brutal Swing, a non-stab, relatively cheap and not hard-hitting charge move, doing over half of Talonflame's health. It looks like I could have potentially even farmed down there, but I just wanted to get rid of the Talonflame. because once the Talonflame is gone, the opponent has no win condition. I have a Gourgeist in the back. There's nothing they can do. Opponent, not realizing the game is over yet, goes for a Mud Bomb to take out Oranguru, but Oranguru won't stop! He just keeps going! 1 HP survived, gets off a Brutal Swing, and Oranguru took out 2.5 Pokemon on the opponent's team. That all came down to the opponent switching into the Feraligatr. And there it is, a 5-0 to Legend. I cannot believe it. This team worked way better than I ever could have imagined. And I don't know why. It's not a good team. I don't recommend running it. However, in this case, we somehow made it work, and we made it to Legend as well as the leaderboards. I haven't hit the leaderboards in quite some time, so that was pretty awesome to experience. Unfortunately, there will be no Pikachu Libre reveal because I'm quite tired and I don't really want to do another set at the moment. However, when I get a chance, I will put a pinned comment on this video to tell you all if I got a shiny Libre or not. Let's be honest, I probably didn't. But anyway, that about wraps up this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.